Are we live now?
I have no idea. Hold on. I think we're live
I think
now.
we're live. Yes, we are. Hello. Oh, people will tell us if we're live or
We're
not.
about to find
So,
out.
happy Thursday. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Cut the Shit, Cue the Genius, where you are the geniuses. We just help you along and, feed and thrive off of you as well as read your minds. So, we're here just to see what is up with everything that you're thinking of as well as around you. And I know that we wanted to keep this session very personal. There's a lot of discussions, arguments, and thoughts on what is happening within the world, especially with the latest news. And it's going to be a domino effect. And if you're feeling it now or you're going to feel it later, this is your platform. This is your platform for venting, for sharing, and hopefully we are going to be able to help you out. If anything, just be transparent. And we're all three of us have been having these mini discussions around, you know, what is in the news as well as mental health. Everybody has a story. I'm gonna roll it over to you, Bruno. Just
Mhm.
just to kick us off because it is kind of heavy and it's very emotional for many people at the moment.
hmm So, we covered this a couple of weeks ago a little bit, Liz and I, with talking about what we as an industry are able to do when there are important or tragic events that unfold. And with the most recent Supreme Court decision, no matter what side you're on, there are companies in our industry, doing things. For example, vowing to take care of their employees if they want to travel out of state to receive health care. And we wanted to sort of dive into that a little bit because I think, for one thing, so laudable for companies to do that, no matter what the circumstances are. But second of all, is that the place of companies, and maybe it is in the absence of other entities that are available or not available to help women, especially, and women in events who are under a lot of pressure right now to get appropriate health care or deal with how they're feeling and address mental health issues, which are surfacing more lately, I think. So I think maybe to just kind of start off the discussion, my question to you guys is it appropriate for companies to step forward to either protect the rights of their employees, grant them more and better services? And the second question is it just kind of you know, the new employee health benefit sort of approach? Is this the reality of living in this world where mental health has to be really taken into consideration more than it was before? So,
Mhm.
question number one, is it appropriate for companies in the events industry to step up and do this?
Liz, what are your thoughts?
I was afraid you were going to come to me first. um,
Listen, putting your head down.
yeah. Where do I hide?
Camera off.
Pencil up, head down.
Oops,
Mhm.
tech glitch.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's appropriate or not. I mean, I think it's a nice gesture because, they're hearing. I mean, the truth is that, especially over the last decade, companies are being put under the microscope a lot more in terms of, what they believe and acting on those things. Seeing a lot of cancel culture around employers who are not doing what we don't want them to do. And I just, I think one of my biggest concerns about just like our society and about the events industry in general is that we seem to be so polarized. And I feel a pull back from like wanting companies to grab a side on every issue. I mean, these larger companies have hundreds, thousands, millions of employees who inevitably fall on both sides of these issues. So I think it's totally fine to offer protection and offer mental health benefits, of course, and to provide support. But I just think it's really mucky when they start taking more formal positions on these really hot button issues. I mean, if we talk about the top things that people care about, these are definitely some of those. So I don't know. I mean, I think everyone wants companies to be pulled into this, but I don't know. It doesn't sit great with me.
Well,
personally.
And I hear you, Liz. So here's my dilemma. My dilemma is this has to be consistent in the offering and in the reasoning of them helping their employees, especially the women, or even on the mental health side. And it has to be consistent. This is not a promotion of I am better than yours or I am bigger than yours. It's the same exact thing when I look at like it's Pride Month and people just change the colors of their logo and that's it. That's the only change. But that's not the change we want. And so, like, if companies are committing, they need to commit not only for their sake, they need to commit for the staff's sake. And it's kind of obvious right now. It's almost like a recurring theme. We keep telling everybody, stop designing events for you, design it for your attendees. So stop designing or promoting that you're making these efforts. And if you're not consistent, if you can't back them up, and if you can't continue to give the right way to the staff, then don't, it's not for show anymore. And I think that's a lot of work, and it's a tremendous commitment. If there's companies that can go for it, and in the news, or like you've seen it also on social, Bizzabo coming and saying this is what we're going to do, Freeman saying this is what we're going to do. None of the industry associations have stated any statements yet again. And so this is where the light is going to shine on some and not on others. And I think after the Corona coaster, us as event profs have become very, very critical of absolutely everything. Who you're going to work for, who you're going to work with, what you're going to give them, what are they going to give you, from every single angle. And these companies and these entities that we know them and that we supported them and that they served us at a certain time, they have to figure out their shit real quick, or else you're gonna lose the good ones. You're gonna lose the ones that are gonna say, I'm not gonna work with you anymore. And you're seeing it also as a domino effect with the cities right now. I think it was LavaCon in New Orleans. I saw the article on LavaCon. Bruno, help me out here, because I think that what it was, LavaCon said, we're taking you out of the 3-city rotation, correct?
Right. And I think the article was also about organizations being able to put clauses in contracts that allow them to pull out without penalties. Because certainly you can pull out anytime you want, but you're going to pay, for all the attrition and
liabilities,
stuff.
penalties,
Right. So that's going to become probably another issue, coaching planners on what clauses to put in and stuff like that. So that's going to be part of the domino effect too.
So I don't know if you guys remember when Deborah Sexton was lead at PCMA, she did something very similar with Houston when it was all about the bathrooms. I believe it was, there was a bill.
Bathroom.
Yes. And they passed a bill against it. She postponed. They didn't go. They just went recently. And Andrea Doyle on, I know that we can't see comments, but I actually can see them on LinkedIn. So there you go. But Andrea Doyle Thank you, Andrea and Jen Arturo, for joining us. Andrea said no to Texas, going to San Diego instead. And so this is what I mean. This is what I mean when you cannot just put your head down and not say anything or do anything, because the limelight is right now on everybody, absolutely everybody. My one concern, though, is more than before, we are treading on very personal information, whether it's someone who is in need of help because of abortion or of mental health or of disabilities, or, and all of this was kept hidden for a long time from an employee perspective.
Yeah,
And
you know what?
so, like,
Mhm.
and I'm
That's a
like,
really good point. Yeah, because can you imagine just going to your HR person and going, you know what? I'm going to need an abortion. Can you like give me money, or what do you
well,
do? Bus ticket?
yeah,
It's just like such a personal discussion to have with an employee, with another employee. What's the process? You fill out a form? I
well,
don't know.
I know.
That's going to be really difficult, but I think it speaks to that, Dahlia. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you didn't interrupt. You're absolutely right. I mean, you're speaking my mind, because, like, in my head, I'm like, first and foremost, I don't know, like, if we've ever been in this situation where even mental health issues, which is a huge, huge deal right now. It's a big
Mhm.
thing at the moment with everybody. Um, like, to to what extent do you ask those questions? Because we were taught that we cannot ask the questions, even if it was someone coming in for an interview, to say, are you pregnant or not, just because of looking at someone. And now we're like leapfrogging all of that, and we're getting really personal. And to be very frank, I don't see a lot of HR professionals that can handle this shit at the
Mhm.
moment without themselves breaking down or thinking that they're crossing lines. I don't
They'll
know.
be the first ones to sign up for the mental health services that the company offers. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. I guess the big question to address is, where do we go with all this information? Where do we go with these feelings? Do we have any kind of leverage as women, a women-dominated industry? And if we what do we do with it?
Yeah.
Because there are going to be some loud voices that disagree with anything.
On
Yeah.
So,
either side.
mhm. I was thinking too about, are these going to become labor issues? Will these be topics on which trade unions will become involved? I mean, most organizations, at least on the planner side, are not unionized, right? But at facilities and at contractors and things like that, many of them are in states and they are unionized. Is this a role for unions to play to make sure that their members get the care they need, and or I don't know, not write it off as something that is outside, it's outside the scope of what they do as labor advocates.
Yeah.
Well, I think to Dahlia's point, like I would be surprised if any of this lasts very long. Unfortunately, I think it's that it's in the news, everyone starts talking about it. A few companies come out and say something, which I think, to be honest, I think most of it is marketing. They don't want to be caught not saying something. And, it's nice to change the colors of your logo and to put a statement out, good PR opportunity. But like, then, you know, if I just think about like Ukraine, the US in particular was so distraught by what's happening. It's still happening to this day. And yet we've all moved on and we don't even think about it. We don't watch the news. It's like hard to find an update on what's happening now. There's so many issues that people want to talk about and that people feel important. And this was kind of what we talked about a few weeks ago. It's
Mhm.
like, there's a lot of things I feel very passionate about. And I'm sure organizations feel the same, but like, which ones are you actually taking a stand? We are no longer going to be doing X, or we're always going to invest in Y. and like making a meaningful change. Because a lot of this, I would be surprised if it lasts a few weeks. I hate to say
Yeah,
that, but I think it's a lot of
well,
promotion
you
because
know,
there's a lot of noise around it right now.
I think there is a sea change in terms of work life and personal life blending, and maybe the lines are really blurred. And that didn't exist before a couple of years ago, I don't think. You know, and when you have work life and home life as two separate entities, then yes, it's easier for organizations, for industries, for companies to say, this isn't my business because that's something to do with your personal life and we're not getting involved. But
Mhm.
as you know, the workforce changes, and COVID had a lot to do with that. There was so much overlap of work and personal that maybe it is time for the organizations we work for and with to kind of take a bigger stand. Sustainability, you know, while not one of these super uber personal issues, is kind of, it makes me think of things that we have and have not done around sustainability. A lot of people feel personally really drawn to being more sustainable. And it does pain them when they go to events or they have to fly somewhere because they know they're, you know, using up resources or impacting the climate. But it's been so long for the industry, who can at times be perpetrators of, you know, ruining the planet, for lack of better words, to address these things and get really serious about it. So what makes us think that, you know, now when it's really hitting home, things will change, except for this blending of work and personal.
And this is where I think there needs to be a refocus and a recommitment in
Yeah.
regards to a couple of things. So I was just at a show, 8,000 people in Montreal, and beautiful show. The event planners did an amazing job. This was their, you know, first live since the Corona coaster.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Montreal tried as best to just be there, you know, for these lions. And the lions are all about community, about doing, and about, you know, giving back. What I found very interesting, but this is also the sign of the times. This is where I say refocus and reset and recommit. You know, they have their parade. They close, you know, the biggest street of any city they go to from 9 to 1 o'clock. They spend a ton of money in the parade, and yet you have homeless people sitting and sleeping around them. And I'm like, nobody knows who you are because all the spectators were lions to lions. You didn't tell the city to come and see what you guys are all about. That's a missed opportunity. They know that I've spoken to them about this. So this is not me like just, you know, dissing them or something. And I'm like, you know, why not do something back with the monies that you put in this activation back to the
Mm-hmm.
community. It does so this is where I say a reset. The other example of a reset or recommitment is, from now on, I honestly think that every event, whether it's virtual or whether it's face to face, they should have a corner for how are you doing? Conversation starters about mental health, about burnout, about people that are taking care of older, you know, loved ones that are, you know, sick, for example, about those that have kids that have mental issues going on as well. That should be a cornerstone. I know that MPI WEC recently had. I saw on social media a post. I don't know who it was from, but you know, where they had a spot where they were discussing, you know, mental health and how it's impacting event profs. But like even the design of it was, I don't want to say it was an afterthought, but it was not inclusive because it was ottomans and people sitting on the floor. Well, you got to think otherwise when you do that. but this is a great opportunity for you to include people that have issues, to actually complement what everybody is there for anyway, kind of thing. And so the recommitment has to be there. Like, I mean, you have to do it also for your internal teams, but it's just and don't do it alone, because it is a lot and everybody's going through something. But I just feel like this is where people have to just figure out there's bigger topics and factors out there now, other than you putting a back-to-back program of I don't know what. We gotta stop that, or else it's totally tone deaf. If you keep designing like you had and not really giving what your people want, internal teams as well as everybody around you.
So how do we design for, like, I mean, a lot of large associations, a lot of large conferences, they have, huge populations of people who attend these events, thousands of people. And, I think the mental health space is one that makes sense because we all have mental health and we all need those support services. But I think a lot of organizations have trouble standing up for abortion or transgender rights or any of these topics because their members don't all fall on the same line. So is it better for an organization to say, this is what we believe, and everyone out or in based on how you feel about that? Or, should they be playing a little more in the middle so that, they can, it's not necessarily about appeasing, but I think that's part of inclusion as well. I think one of the things that concerns me is that, Chick-fil-A feels a certain way. And then it's like, if you don't agree with that, then you're just not doing business with them. That's your choice, I suppose. And then at least it's easy. But then we have organizations on one side and organizations on another. And is that really like a great world to live in? It's not like we all agree on these issues.
No, we don't all agree on it. I think what we all agree on is that we need to bring people to a better place, point A to point B. And it's to a point where no, I said point like 3 times, but it's truly about, what do they need? The people that you are entrusting with your business, what do they need? The brain width. Like I always tell the team, let's protect our brain width. And if we have projects and if we have clients that suck the hell out of us because they don't know what they're doing, they're going through everything and more. And, let's protect our brain width first. It's the same for events. It's going to be a huge domino effect because of the partners you work with, because of the cities you work with. It gets thorny and it gets like, it gets political. There's relationships that are going to suffer, and we're built on that. We're built on relationships. Those that have friends like in Texas or those that have friends in I don't know where, it's going to be ugly. But but back to your point, even if you haven't figured out what your stand is, at least acknowledge. Like I would love for even the industry associations that we know them and have been around for a while to come out and say, we're working on something. Just give us a minute, but not to be silent. There is no
What do you
place for
ideally
silence.
want them? Like, what should they be working on, I guess is my question.
Either helping out even collectively to help others out figure it out. I have no right or wrong answer here or like anything, but like I honestly think this is the time where why the hell the associations are not getting back together. Like I think they did it once for meaning of business or meetings mean business or something business. Yeah, guess what? This is more than business. This is us, like humans. Like we're falling apart right now in many, many ways. And you don't want that for this industry. You don't want it for the talent that we have and that we're trying to keep or that we're trying to acquire. I just want to like real quick though, that Jen Artura Um, well, she says, right, Liz, it's a tightrope. So she acknowledges what you say. But she also shared that the event profs uh, have a new LinkedIn community called Events Minds Matter to create a space for mental health in events. So
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
that's going to be shared. Jen, thank you for sharing that link. And then, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to go through these comments. But Diane Dukes, hi Diane, long time no speak. Where she says that associations can't always just cancel due to attrition clauses. We are booked in Texas for next April, which is a rebook due to COVID cancellation, and our association can't afford to cancel. The optics of going there or not going there offends one side or the other. I feel our association is caught in the middle of these political issues where it is not appropriate for us to take a stand. So, where is the advocacy here? So,
Mhm.
we went through all of this shit show with COVID cancellations and force majeure and contract clauses and this and that. We're not future resilient. So, are we going to keep going through a hamster wheel? Every single thing that, a bill didn't get passed, got passed, something got we have, I think so, if anything, there has to be some sort of entity that can forward think for us. I don't know. That's my opinion. Maybe it's the coffee. I don't.
Mhm. Well, what I'm hearing is that maybe there's I don't want to say a lack of leadership. I feel like there are so
No, you
many
can
great
see it's a
leaders,
lack of leadership.
but no one's really coalescing around one sort of group or stream of thought. And maybe it's just not possible. Maybe it was better when everything was separated, you know, just, work life versus home life, church versus state. Don't discuss certain things in mixed company.
So
Maybe
are
that
we
was
going
better.
backwards? You want to do we go back to the very beginning as Andrew said in Sound of Music? Let's.
I've got to say that it has its merits. This, but I suppose the whole, social media has changed so much in terms of people sharing everything and everything blending together, and people's, adopting opinions that maybe they wouldn't have previously adopted because algorithms are pushing them down a rabbit hole. So it is a different world, but to a certain extent it's just, it's common courtesy to maybe not have discussions with individuals that have certain discussions with individuals that don't agree with you, and maybe just keep to safe topics. The weather.
That's
Associations are going to be putting out weather reports. The weather in Texas is,
is charged.
whatever, is charged. Yes.
Yeah, that's effing
I mean,
boring for me. I'm sorry. I can't.
yeah,
I'm out.
yeah. I
Liz,
know.
I mean, what do you think this is going to do for actually for you, Liz? The question is, what do you think this is going to do for the event process, which was already it, loop de loop, and it's even getting worse, and you going on like 50 million venue site. What what's that going to do? This whole thing, what's it going to do?
I don't know. I mean, I think we as an industry bring people together. And I think a lot of what people want is more separation. I don't think it makes sense to just go back where like everything is fully separated. And, you know, we, we need to find the more human side of all of this. Like, I think where instead of focusing on issues that pull us apart, you're starkly on one side or the other side, where can we find some common ground? And I think this is my biggest frustration with social media. And I constantly go back and forth, like, I'm just going to delete everything. Screw this. You guys are crazy. And like wanting to be connected with the world. But I think, I was very excited to see that like certain gun legislation was finally passed recently. And it wasn't what either side, I think, really wanted, but it was something. I would love to see like legislative votes that don't go immediately down each side. Like it's there's like some flip-flop once in a while. And I would love to see that in our industry as well. A lot more flexibility around humanness, human issues, and a lot more understanding. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't really think, for example, like there are people talking about canceling events in Texas. We have clients who are like, hey, let's book Texas. I want to go to Texas for our next event. And then I bring up, okay, well, just so you know, there's a lot of controversy around booking in Texas right now. And they're like, oh, and that's, I think, a fair thing too, is like they're not booking there because they believe in gun rights. They're booking there because there's something else that they want, or they're booking there for other reasons. And so I think we have to find like less judgment. If you book a venue or a meeting in Texas or in Florida, you're not insane. There are reasons why people do that, and it doesn't make you a bad organization, in my opinion. But could those organizations be aware that there's controversy? Could they have content that addresses both sides of issues? I would just love to see more of this in the middle. And then in the process of that, because I think too, like it would be, as a planner, it's great to have a clause that I can pull out at any time because I don't like what you did as a state. But like, what does that do to our venue partners? That's not, I mean, how are they supposed to make a living and keep their venues open if the governor does something and everyone just starts pulling out all their business? So like, similar to how we worked in COVID, where like, okay, we all had to cancel. And there was a lot of like outside of the contract figuring it out together. Okay, let's move this to 2023. Let's shift it to a different venue. Whatever it was, there was a lot of that kind of collaboration. And I know that's not like very black and white, but I would love to see our industry do more of that kind of negotiation and working together around issues and not being so like pulled to these edges.
So at least you're not being tone deaf when you do that. Yeah. At least you're not saying this is something I'm not going to handle, and then you just stick your head in the sand.
Correct.
And you're being relevant, and you're being transparent and honest, and you're actually proactive in the sense of it can lend itself to have conversation starters or meetups within the meeting on different aspects, or it's actually brain dates of some kind, peer-to-peer interaction, facilitation, name it whatever you want. I don't give a shit if it doesn't need a title, it doesn't need a label. But I honestly think that the humanity needs a place in every single get together we do. Like this, the chat that I'm seeing on LinkedIn, because I don't see it here. And by the way, everybody, we're trying something new, so bear with us, because the techies are trying something new. But what I'm trying to get at is, this is where you need to put a space for exactly what you are designing, not whether it's a medical, whether it's a professional conference, online, what have you. Just be present and not just sweep it under the carpet. It will blow up in your face, in my opinion, especially the human side of things, the mental aspects of, people need that back and forth.
I think until we can get to like a better place personally as humans, we're not going to be able to tackle these bigger issues. I think jumping into like organizations taking a stand one way or another, there's not enough understanding, love, compassion, empathy, all that other stuff that matters to have like an actual conversation. Until we can get that right and figure out how to actually care about each other as people, I don't think we're going to have smart discussions on the bigger issues.
Yep, absolutely. Bruno?
Well, yeah, I'm just thinking about event design and, what goes into an event strategy. And it's usually very narrow objectives around, serving a membership or making profit or whatever. I wonder if an event objective going forward is just to really humanize the event, make sure that and that it could include, you know, breakouts or coursework or, activations around conflict resolution or, addressing mental health. Because up to this point, sort of that pillar was filled in with like, let's just have meditation or yoga classes
Yeah.
or quiet space,
Or a
maybe in
wellness
that
room.
here and there. Yeah. And it's such a much bigger issue. It involves
Yeah.
so much more, feeling and mental energy. But perhaps if that was a tenet of the event, to really create this humanized space, I think IMEX does a good job. They seem to be sort of thinking about that. If that would be at least one thing, concrete thing that event organizers could do, event planners could do.
Or a more humanized experience. Like instead of it being a separate space, this is always how I feel about technology, like text in the back corner. It's like an extra room. It's like, okay, forgotten about. What if
Yeah.
we're thoughtful in the design process about how we are acknowledging our attendees, how they feel, where they're at right now, and we address that in our event communications instead of making everything so salesy and, just about event logistics? What if our emails give them a chance to take a break in a certain
Yep.
way? What if the content is designed in a way where your speakers are prepped to acknowledge certain things or to give your attendees a little space? The agenda is designed differently. I love the wellness spaces and stuff, and I think that's great to do. But how do we make it throughout the entire experience that a person feels like they're valued for coming to this event and the like they matter? I've been kind of obsessed with this idea, and I think I would love to see our industry really get obsessed with it.
I mean, not this is a shameless plug, but for the last couple of years, people know that we as Dahlia Plus do tech bars or LinkedIn corners, but we've added on, and they've been successful conversation starters that are facilitated by properly certified people. This is not, this is about conversations about burnout. This is about, taking care of maybe chronically ill relatives, for example, or like, teenagers that are just having a hard time. It's real issues. And it's very telling when people want to stay in that area. They want to just talk to each other. They found their people. It's the same as the emotional connection that you get on some of the communities that are on Facebook, just because of the support, just because of the peer to peer type of interaction. And I think that's what's needed, especially for an internal team, whether it's on a Slack channel or if it's, a Zoom call every now and then, or if it's at an event. And it's I want to say it's easy to do. It's harder to promote because people are afraid that they'll be labeled or that they will be, seen as weak. And, this is where the facilitation has to come across as no judgment. This is a no judgment zone. And and I think it works well with introverts. But again, Liz, to your point, that's where you would have to promote it. Where are you at? Are you an introvert? Is this your first time? Because like trying to like bare your soul as a first timer at an event, and you're here bawling your eyes out, mascara like all over your place, which happens. I do it a lot, and you're in front of people that, are you going to be judged? What's going to happen? Kind of thing. I think that's what needs to be finessed. But if it's continuous, if it's consistent, like we said, it has to be consistent. It has to be an offering that's just not on paper or a LinkedIn post and then gone,
Yeah.
So,
Well, if we at least can decide that this, this group of activities, that the programming, the event strategy has to contain this sort of human objective. There are other things we can do besides the on-floor activations, besides having yoga and meditation, besides safe spaces. We could, and Dahlia, you've pointed this out many times, signage could be softened, and the even the terminology that we use. I actually I react to when there's a sign that says "Be nice."
Be
Just be
kind.
nice to the person behind the counter. Don't bite their head off because your triple whatever macchiato latte is doesn't have oat milk in it. Like a back the f off, right?
Yeah.
Those mean something to me, and you pointed out events have those, but even just changing the vocabulary in events could be humanized more. It doesn't have to be so technical and just raw. It could be. I would love that job to just like rename
You and me, we
spaces.
should go into shows from now on and redo all their signage and give it to them
Yeah,
as like, you should have said this way. No, seriously, like
You
honestly,
should.
right? I would want that
yes,
job. Can you imagine the
yeah.
three of us going into shows like Armageddon style, like with the glasses slow-mo and we're walking in and we're like just changing signage.
Yeah. You in,
Someone-
you out. Yeah.
like,
But within that mindset, I think the gears are turning around what you can do if you just have that as a goal.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's my
So
takeaway.
I know that we're running out of time. Lindsay, our favorite Lindsay, she's was talking about an example: female quotient lounges at so many large cross-industry events. The content is very specific and built for a space to talk, listen, or just be around female issues. Love these types of dedicated zones. I love that.
That's cool.
Let's do that. Oh,
Totally.
Michael Shapiro wants us to dress up as ninjas. So I think we can
Ninjas are in all black, so I'm
yeah,
down.
so we can get
I
that
am
sponsored.
so down
I say
with
we get our
all black
ninja
outfits.
uniforms sponsored and we can put the logo on, sabers or I'm good with that if you guys are. So
Yeah, we've used
Yeah.
lightsabers at
Event
events
Ninjas.
before.
Wait,
yeah,
that's a company.
absolutely.
Isn't there a company called Event Ninjas? I think that's
Yes,
already
yes,
done.
there is. There is.
Line event
Yeah.
ninjas or lineup ninja?
No, I think there's an
Both.
event ninjas too.
There you go.
Mhm.
Well, we own it. We're the ninjas. Awesome, ladies. This was fantastic. I think there's a part 2, part 10, actually, maybe on this one. So, but again, if we can get all the geniuses that have been part of the chat with us, I love, love, love the comments that have been coming in to sign up on our webpage for what topics you want, as well as if you want to be a lifeline or a ninja. Shapiro, Shisha, you should be a ninja with us. Shisha is Shapiro. And so I just say be kind, especially this weekend. Hug your loved ones really, really hard until, they're like, get off me, especially the kids. Liz, you can do that really well.
They
And
want to get on her. Ours are already at the state like that.
my
Off.
teenagers are like, I came back
You're
this
coming towards
morning.
me. I know
Yeah.
that look. Get away.
I came back really late at night, and the first thing I did was go in the bedrooms to like give kisses. They're like, "All right, enough. We're done. All right, go move away."
The pillow moves over.
Don't take that as a bad sign. Just keep kissing and hugging and be kind, but be kind to yourself. Like seriously, give yourself time to just be. Silence is gold, and
Well,
it
I
was
just
great.
let out a big breath when you said that.
Yeah,
Thank
be
you.
kind to yourself and don't say sorry anymore. Never. All right. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next week. Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.